You're doing the keto diet, you're doing the carnivore diet, you're eating 2,000 calories and below, and you're frustrated because you're doing all those things and you're still not losing weight. So what could be happening here? Well, in this video, I'm gonna explain one of the most common mistakes that a lot of people make when they go on a weight loss journey, even though they're eating 2,000 calories or lower, doing carnivore, doing keto, and all of a sudden they get stuck, they plateau, and they're just not losing any more weight. Now, before we dive right in, for those of you who are not familiar with who I am, my name is Tim Ernst, and I'm an intermittent keto fasting coach who lost 70 pounds in 7 months, all the way back in 2018, kept it off for a couple years. 2020 happened. I gained maybe 40 pounds of that back. This year I decided I had had enough, so I drew a line in the sand. I thought, I am going to get in the best shape of my life. So I started at 233 this year, and I'm all the way down to 190, doing keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting, and some of the tips I'm going to share with you in this video. Now, I've also coached hundreds of men from all over the world to lose at least 40 pounds in 16 weeks using my Keto Shed 40 program. If you want more info on that, I'll drop a link in the description. You can click that. It'll take you to a video that kind of explains a little bit in more detail as to how I could potentially help you. Okay, so let's get right into this video. Why would you not be losing weight despite the fact that you're in a 2,000, you're eating 2,000 calories or less, you're doing keto and you're doing carnivore? I'm going to tell you, the biggest mistake that a lot of people make on their weight loss journey is cutting calories too soon. Okay, I want you to think about this. Let's say your maintenance calories is like 3,000 calories just to maintain weight, and you decide you really want to go for it this year. You're going to drop your calories to 2,000 calories, right? You start losing weight like crazy. I mean, the pounds are just coming off, and all of a sudden you hit a wall. For a solid week, you're not losing any weight. You can't understand why, because you're in a 1,000 calorie deficit, okay? So you think to yourself, okay, well, I'll just drop down to 1,800 calories. Then the weight starts coming off at 1,800 calories. Then you hit another wall. Then you start dropping to 1,600 calories. You start losing even more weight. And all of a sudden, within a couple weeks, you hit another plateau. You see where I'm going with this? Eventually, you're going to be cutting calories so low, you're going to back yourself up into a corner, up against a wall, and you are going to have nowhere to go. Okay, so the biggest mistake is that you're just dropping calories too fast. So here's what I am going to suggest if this has happened to you, okay? The first thing is, if you find yourself, you're eating like, maybe you're way down there, you're like at 1,600 calories, maybe you're at 1,200, you're doing OMAD. The best thing that you need to do in your situations is you're going to have to do what's called reverse dieting to reset your metabolism. Because essentially what's happened is, because you cut calories too fast, too soon, you've down-regulated your metabolism, and your body's adapted to that new way of eating. Okay, you got to remember, your body's primary job is to keep you alive. So if it starts to sense any type of deprivation too quickly, it's going to learn to adapt because it wants to keep you alive. Okay, so what you may have to do is what's called reverse dieting, where you're going to have to slowly increase your calories every 1 to 2 weeks by maybe a couple hundred calories until you can reset that metabolism. Okay. Now, if you're just starting on your journey, then you want to listen up. Okay, this is the suggestion I'm going to give to you. So let's say your maintenance calories is like, let's say it's like 3,000 calories, just to make it simple. That's the calories you need to maintain weight. What I would suggest is be in a slight caloric deficit, okay? Maybe drop it by 300 calories, okay? So now you're at 2,700 and the weight starts coming off, okay? You're losing weight, all of a sudden you hit a wall. Well, now you've got plenty of wiggle room to cut more calories. So you could go from 2,700 to maybe like 2,400, okay? And then you do that for a few weeks. And then once you hit that wall, then you can drop it down to maybe 2,200. You see where I'm going with this? You want to strategically cut those calories so you don't back yourself up against the wall, okay? This is a big mistake I see a lot of people make. You don't want to do that, okay? So the other thing that I really want to stress as well is you want to make sure that you don't have to necessarily cut calories either, okay? That's another tip I want to give you. Let's say you're not losing weight and you're like, well, I can't decrease my calories any further. Well, here's another suggestion. If you're doing keto and carnivore, maybe you need to look at the dietary fat you're eating. Maybe you're eating way too much fat. So instead of cutting calories, essentially what you could do is pull back on the grams of fat. And now essentially, you're going to be in more of a calorie deficit by pulling the fat out. However, that's another strategy that you can use than just flat out just cutting calories. Maybe pull back on the fat a little bit. There's been times where I took the fat completely out of my diet for 10 days and I did a lean protein blast. This can work very well and you'll actually get to eat more. You'll get to eat like 3 meals a day. I did this where I would eat a cup of egg whites maybe around 12 o'clock with a bunch of veggies. That would be meal number 1. Meal number 2, I would have some type of lean, boneless, skinless chicken breast with a side of veggies. I would have that maybe around 3 p.m. And then at 6 p.m., I'd have my last meal and I would have like a really lean fish with vegetables. So if you do that for like 10 days, then that's gonna really help you drop fat dramatically. In fact, when I did this 10-day lean protein blast, I dropped like 7 pounds in 10 days. So that's another strategy that you could do. Just pull back on the fats a little bit. Maybe you're eating way too much. Makes no sense to eat a whole bunch of fat for a long period of time. You wanna tap into body fat. If you keep pounding the dietary fat, you're not giving your body a reason to lose its own fat, okay? The other thing I want to stress this as well. Let's say you plateau for a day. Well, that doesn't mean you cut your calories the very next day, okay? Give it a good week or two. If you start to notice you're plateauing for a week, that would be a good indicator that maybe you are in a plateau. So you want to make sure, don't just get all upset and frustrated that you plateaued for like a day, 24 hours or 48 hours. Give it some time. Give it about a week. I'm telling you, if you follow this strategy as a whole, you're going to be in a much better position that when you do lose the weight, you're not going to regain it back. That's the other danger to cutting calories too low. I know, look, I'm guilty of this as well. You guys have heard my story already this year. You know, I've lost 43 pounds in a matter of 11 weeks, right? I've lost it very, very quickly. But you have to be careful that once you start going back to maintenance calories and eating normally again, to not go too fast in a surplus because you will gain the weight back. I've done this for years. I know what I'm talking about. You do not want to put all that weight back on after the sacrifice that you made this year. I mean, I started with a 5-day fast, water day fast. Then I was doing 2 meals a day. I did carnivore for 2 months. And then I went from 2 meals a day to 1 meal a day. Then I did alternate day fasting. Yes, I lost the weight very, very quickly. However, I'm maintaining now. I'm kind of fluctuating between that 189, 194. That's kind of what I'm fluctuating. I was trying to stay at 190, but my body's fluctuating and that's totally, totally normal, okay? So for me, my goal honestly is to get down to 180. I want to get to 180 and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly increase my calories over time. Maybe every 2 weeks, bump it up by a couple hundred calories. So that way I can get back to maintenance. My maintenance calories may be 2,700. I mean, just think about that. Imagine being 180 pounds and be able to eat 25 to like 2,700 calories and actually maintain 180. How awesome would that be, okay? So I wanted to create this video just to help you if you're kind of stuck, you're struggling. Do not cut the calories too drastically. And calories isn't the only way to lose weight. You can pull back in the fat, up the protein. Protein is very thermogenic. You're gonna lose weight that way as well, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and also hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I will see you then.